The 7 unacceptable behaviors you should never tolerate. Your time and energy are valuable commodities. Every moment you spend allowing toxic behaviors to invade your life is a moment you lose from your power, your peace, and your progress. The truth is, some actions and attitudes are simply not worth your patience or your forgiveness. You owe it to yourself to know exactly what you will never accept, not because you want to be harsh, but because you respect yourself enough to demand better. Let me be clear. Tolerating these behaviors only teaches others how to treat you, and if you don't set firm boundaries, you risk being trapped in cycles of disrespect and emotional exhaustion. First, there's disrespect. It's the subtle or blatant dismissal of your value and your voice. Disrespect shows up in the way someone talks over you, ignores your needs, or belittles your thoughts. It might be a sarcastic comment, a dismissive glance, or a blatant disregard for your time and effort. This behavior chips away at your confidence slowly but surely. When you let disrespect slide, you send a message that you are okay with being treated as less than you are. Recognize it early, pay attention to how people speak to you and whether they treat you as an equal. The moment you notice that disrespect, call it out. Tell them firmly that you will not accept being spoken to in a degrading way. Walk away if they persist. Protect your dignity, because it is non-negotiable. Dishonesty is another poison you must never swallow. Lies and half-truths destroy trust, and without trust, no relationship, whether personal or professional, can thrive. Dishonesty comes in many forms: avoiding the truth, withholding important information, or outright lying to manipulate. It creates confusion and doubt, leaving you second-guessing yourself and others. If you catch inconsistencies or evasive answers, demand transparency immediately. Make it clear that honesty is a baseline expectation. If the truth isn't respected, it's time to reassess who you allow in your circle. Manipulation is a silent predator that preys on your emotions and your sense of reality. When someone tries to guilt-trip you, twist facts, or make you question your own judgment, they are manipulating you. This behavior drains your mental strength and blurs your boundaries. You deserve relationships where your feelings and thoughts are honored, not exploited. Learn to trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't engage in power plays or games. Instead, set firm boundaries and refuse to be controlled. Remember, you are responsible for your own peace, not for managing someone else's emotional warfare. Boundary violations are more common than we realize, and yet they are some of the easiest to overlook until you're overwhelmed and exhausted. When someone ignores your no, pushes past your limits, or dismisses your need for space and time, they are violating your boundaries. This invades your personal space and chips away at your autonomy. Be explicit about your limits. Don't expect others to guess what you will or won't accept. Repeat your boundaries clearly and consistently. If they continue to be ignored, it's a sign that they do not respect you, and it's time to distance yourself for your own well-being. Negativity is an energy drain like no other. Surrounding yourself with constant pessimism, criticism, or toxic complaining saps your motivation and clouds your ability to see solutions and opportunities. Negativity keeps you stuck in a loop of doubt and frustration. Notice the people who never uplift you, who only bring you down with their constant focus on problems. Limit your exposure to these energies. Instead, choose to be around those who inspire, challenge, and encourage you to grow and believe in yourself. Another behavior that must be stopped is the lack of accountability. Some people refuse to own their mistakes, blame others for their failures, or make excuses to avoid responsibility. This stunts growth and creates resentment because it traps you in a cycle of cleaning up messes that are not yours. When you encounter this, hold people accountable. Don't accept excuses or deflections. Insist on ownership or reconsider how much of your time and energy they deserve. Your growth depends on surrounding yourself with people who stand tall and take responsibility. Finally, aggression and intimidation have no place in your life. Any form of hostile, threatening, or coercive behavior threatens your safety and peace of mind. This can be loud yelling, subtle threats, or physical intimidation. None of it is acceptable. Your safety, is paramount. If you experience this, remove yourself immediately. Seek help if needed. Remember, you have every right to live without fear and to demand respect that does not come with conditions or threats. These 7 behaviors, disrespect, dishonesty, manipulation, boundary violations, negativity, lack of accountability, and aggression, are not just annoying or inconvenient, they are destructive forces that steal your power, peace, and purpose. Recognizing them and refusing to tolerate them is not just a choice, it's a necessity for your mental and emotional well-being. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, you are saying no to your own worth. But when you stand firm and draw clear lines, you reclaim your power. You teach others how to treat you, and you create a life that honors who you truly are. Disrespect. Disrespect is one of the most corrosive behaviors you can allow in your life, and yet so many people brush it off, convincing themselves it's just how some people are. But let me be clear, disrespect is never acceptable, and tolerating it is a choice you make that diminishes your value. Disrespect isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it hides in subtle, insidious ways. Rolling eyes, dismissive gestures, sarcastic remarks, ignoring your boundaries, or speaking over you when you have something to say. It's that energy that makes you feel small, unheard, and unimportant. It can come from coworkers who undermine you in meetings, family members who dismiss your feelings, friends who joke at your expense, or partners who disregard your time and effort. The reason disrespect is so harmful is because it erodes your confidence piece by piece. It chips away at your self-worth until you start questioning whether you deserve better, and that is exactly the trap you have to refuse to fall into. When someone disrespects you, they are not just disrespecting you, they are disrespecting themselves by failing to recognize the dignity that every human deserves, including you. This behavior sends a clear message that they do not value you as an equal, and when you allow it, you reinforce a cycle that can become toxic and damaging to your mental health. You have to become hyper-aware of the moments when disrespect creeps in. It might be a cutting comment disguised as a joke, a consistent pattern of interruptions when you speak, or a refusal to acknowledge your contributions. These are red flags, and you must not let them slide. Instead, you need to respond decisively and without hesitation. Let the person know that their behavior is unacceptable and stand your ground firmly. You don't have to be confrontational to be clear. Sometimes a simple, "I won't accept being spoken to that way," said with calm authority, is enough to shift the dynamics. If they continue, be prepared to remove yourself from the situation. Your peace of mind is not negotiable, and no one has the right to make you feel less than. Setting this boundary is crucial because it establishes the standard for how people must treat you if they want to be part of your life. Disrespect is not a sign of tough love, not a badge of honor, and not something you have to endure for the sake of keeping the peace. It is a violation of your dignity and a sign of weakness in others, not strength. You deserve relationships, professional or personal, where respect is the baseline, not the exception. Learning to spot disrespect early and respond confidently will transform how others perceive you and how you perceive yourself. Remember, allowing disrespect is a slow erosion of your self-worth, but refusing it is a reclaiming of your power. Never accept less than the respect you earn and deserve, because that is the foundation upon which all healthy relationships are built. Your time is precious, your energy is sacred, and your respect is non-negotiable. The moment you choose to stop tolerating disrespect, you take a huge step toward owning your worth and commanding the treatment you deserve in every area of your life. Dishonesty is a poison that quietly seeps into the foundation of any relationship, whether personal or professional, until everything crumbles beneath it. It is more than just telling a lie. It's the betrayal of trust, the breaking of an unspoken contract that binds us to one another with truth and integrity. When someone is dishonest with you, they are not just withholding facts, they are manipulating your reality and playing with your emotions, and that kind of behavior is completely unacceptable. Dishonesty destroys trust, and trust is the very core that holds any relationship together. Without it, You are left with suspicion, doubt, and uncertainty, constantly questioning the motives and words of those around you. This creates a mental and emotional chaos that drains your energy and clouds your judgment. It's exhausting to live in a world where you have to second-guess what is true and what is not. Dishonesty can show itself in many forms, from small white lies that chip away at your confidence to massive deceptions that shatter your sense of security. It might be a partner hiding important details, a coworker misleading you to cover up mistakes, or even a friend who pretends to support you while undermining you behind your back. No matter the scale, dishonesty is never harmless. The moment you recognize that someone is not being truthful with you, you have to make a clear and firm decision. This will not be tolerated. Refusing to accept dishonesty is about protecting your mental and emotional well-being. It is about telling yourself, I deserve to be treated with honesty and respect, and I will not settle for less. When you encounter dishonesty, the first step is to confront it directly. That doesn't mean you have to attack or accuse aggressively, but you do need to ask for clarity and hold people accountable. Say something like, I need transparency from you. Trust is important to me, and I cannot continue if I feel lied to. You are setting a boundary, making it clear that honesty is not optional. It is essential. This is not about being suspicious or paranoid, but about maintaining standards that protect your peace of mind. If the dishonesty continues, or the person refuses to own up, it's a sign to reconsider how much power you give them in your life. Trust once broken is hard to rebuild, and often, the healthiest choice is to distance yourself. Remember, your time and energy are finite resources. You do not owe anyone your trust or your forgiveness when they repeatedly prove themselves untrustworthy. You must surround yourself with people who honor truth and transparency, because these are the pillars that support healthy, strong, and meaningful connections. Being honest with yourself about what you will accept sets the tone for how others treat you. You teach people how to treat you by the standards you uphold. When you demand honesty, you create a space where respect flourishes and where you can thrive without the constant shadow of doubt. Your peace, your clarity, and your ability to move forward depend on this. Dishonesty is a red flag, a warning sign to protect yourself and walk away if necessary. You deserve relationships and environments where truth is sacred, where your integrity is matched with their integrity. Don't be afraid to demand that level of respect. When you refuse to tolerate dishonesty, you're not just protecting yourself. You're affirming your worth and your commitment to living a life built on truth and respect. Manipulation is a subtle and dangerous weapon disguised as concern, persuasion, or care. It creeps into your life slowly, wearing the mask of kindness or reason, but underneath, it's about control and exploitation. When someone manipulates you, they aren't interested in your well-being. They are interested in bending your will, twisting your emotions, and using your good nature for their own gain. Manipulation is toxic because it chips away at your autonomy, leaving you confused, doubting yourself, and questioning your reality. It's exhausting to constantly second-guess your feelings or decisions because someone else has sown seeds of doubt or guilt. Manipulators use tactics like guilt-tripping, gaslighting, playing the victim, or withholding affection to keep you off balance and dependent on their approval. This behavior doesn't just damage your self-confidence. It breaks down your mental defenses and makes you vulnerable to repeated abuse. One of the most dangerous things about manipulation is how quietly it can happen, often disguised as love, friendship, or guidance. You might not realize you're being manipulated until you find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, feeling responsible for someone else's emotions, or constantly trying to walk on eggshells to avoid conflict. Recognizing manipulation is the first step toward reclaiming your power. Pay close attention to how you feel after interactions with certain people. If you often feel drained, confused, or less than yourself, that's a red flag. Trust your instincts. They are your best defense. When you recognize these patterns, you must confront them with clarity and strength. Don't allow guilt or fear to silence you. Set clear boundaries and communicate them firmly. Say something like, I won't engage in conversations that make me feel controlled or guilty. Or, I deserve to be treated with respect and honesty, not manipulation. You don't owe anyone the right to twist your emotions or question your judgment. Remember, you are not responsible for managing someone else's feelings or fixing their problems at the cost of your own peace. Detach emotionally when necessary and refuse to participate in manipulative games. Surround yourself with people who uplift, empower, and respect your autonomy. The moment you decide you will no longer tolerate manipulation, you take back control over your emotions and your decisions. This is about reclaiming your truth and standing tall as the person who sets the rules for how you are treated. Manipulation thrives in silence and confusion. By speaking up and enforcing your boundaries, you cut off its power. Don't underestimate the strength it takes to say no to manipulation. But know this: standing firm protects your mental and emotional well-being in ways nothing else can. You deserve relationships that honor your independence and celebrate your voice, not diminish it through control or deceit. The ability to recognize manipulation and reject it is one of the most powerful tools you have to protect yourself and live authentically. When you refuse to tolerate manipulation, you are affirming your right to be treated with respect, honesty, and dignity, always. Boundary violations are one of the most insidious behaviors people tolerate far too often, and yet they strike at the very core of who you are: your autonomy, your safety, and your sense of self. A boundary is not just a polite request or a vague suggestion. It is a clear line that defines where you begin and where others must stop. When someone ignores or pushes past that line, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental, they are violating your right to be treated with respect and dignity. This could be as overt as someone invading your personal space without permission, or as subtle as repeatedly disregarding your need for time alone, your emotional limits, or even your values. The danger of boundary violations is that they often come disguised as care, concern, or necessity, making it easy to dismiss them or even blame yourself for not being clear enough. But let me be very clear: your boundaries are your rights, not negotiable options for others to override when it suits them. When boundaries are crossed, it can leave you feeling exposed, powerless, and resentful. Over time, repeated violations wear down your confidence and self-respect, teaching you to tolerate discomfort and disrespect as the norm, which is a recipe for long-term emotional harm. The first step in protecting yourself is to recognize when your boundaries are being crossed. This means becoming intimately aware of your limits, knowing what you will and won't accept, and listening to the signals your body and mind send when you feel uneasy, overwhelmed, or drained after interactions. These feelings are your internal alarm system telling you that something is wrong. Once you identify these moments, you must act decisively. Communicating boundaries is not about being confrontational. It's about being assertive and clear. You don't owe lengthy explanations or justifications for your limits. Simply stating them firmly is enough. For example, saying, "I need space to think," or "Please respect my time," is a powerful assertion that demands respect. If someone consistently disregards your boundaries, you are under no obligation to continue engaging with them. Walking away, limiting contact, or even cutting ties can be necessary steps to protect your well-being. Remember, setting boundaries is not selfish. It is an act of self-respect and self-care. It sends a message that your feelings, needs, and safety matter. People who truly respect you will honor your boundaries without question, because they understand that these limits are the foundation of healthy relationships. When you enforce your boundaries consistently, you create an environment where respect flourishes and toxic behaviors have no foothold. You teach others how to treat you by standing firm, and that clarity is the cornerstone of personal power. Never let anyone make you feel guilty for protecting yourself. Your boundaries are sacred, and upholding them is how you maintain your peace, your freedom, and your dignity. The world will try to push you to compromise your limits, but remember, every time you say yes to something that violates your boundary, you say no to your own worth. Take control, be vigilant, and honor your boundaries with unwavering strength. Negativity is one of those corrosive forces that quietly seeps into your life and drains the energy and enthusiasm that fuels your dreams and your purpose. It might not come as a direct attack, but it shows up as a constant cloud of pessimism, doubt, and complaint that weighs down your spirit and suffocates your potential. You'll find it in people who always focus on what's wrong instead of what could be right, who criticize relentlessly without offering solutions, and who seem to thrive on bringing others down instead of lifting them up. Negativity is harmful because it shapes your mindset without you even realizing it. When you surround yourself with this toxic energy, it influences the way you think, the decisions you make, and the goals you pursue. It drags you into a cycle of defeatism where hope is hard to come by and confidence becomes shaky. Worse, negativity is contagious. If you're not careful, you'll find yourself adopting the same critical and cynical attitude toward life, friends, work, or even yourself. It slowly erodes your motivation and replaces it with fear, self-doubt, and paralysis. This kind of environment can be toxic, not just mentally, but physically as well, causing stress that affects your health, your relationships, and your overall quality of life. Recognizing negativity is the first step toward breaking free from its grip. Notice the people who never seem satisfied, who complain about everything, yet never act to change their circumstances, or those who offer nothing but criticism without ever encouraging or supporting you. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with them. If you leave feeling drained, anxious, or doubting your own abilities, that's a clear sign that negativity has taken root in that space. It's crucial to understand that negativity is not just a personality trait. It's a habit that people develop, and it can be changed, but it requires awareness and effort. When you recognize these patterns, it's time to take action. Limiting your exposure to negative influences is essential. This might mean setting firm boundaries around who you spend time with or how much you engage in certain conversations. It means choosing to prioritize your mental and emotional health over the need to please others or avoid conflict. You don't have to respond to every complaint or get dragged into endless cycles of pessimism. Instead, seek out people and environments that challenge you to grow, inspire you to believe in yourself, and encourage you to take positive steps forward. Surround yourself with those who bring light, energy, and possibility into your life, because these are the people who help you rise above challenges, who push you to reach higher, and who celebrate your successes rather than diminish them. Remember, you have the power to control who and what you allow into your mental space. Negativity has no place in a life built on purpose and strength. Every time you allow toxic thoughts or people to dominate your environment, you give them permission to steal your joy and your focus. Refuse to let that happen. Instead, cultivate a mindset of possibility, resilience, and positivity. Train yourself to catch negative thoughts when they arise and challenge them. Replace doubt with confidence, criticism with encouragement, and fear with courage. This isn't about ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing where you place your attention and energy, choosing to focus on what's possible rather than what's impossible. Your environment shapes you. If you want to thrive, if you want to lead a life where you are in control and moving forward, then you must be intentional about who and what you allow to influence your mindset. Negativity is a thief of dreams and a killer of ambition. But when you recognize it, confront it, and refuse to tolerate it, you reclaim your power. You create space for hope, growth, and success. The choice is yours. Choose wisely. Lack of accountability is one of those behaviors that silently corrodes the foundation of trust and respect in any relationship or environment. It's the refusal to own up to one's mistakes, the habitual blaming of others, and the constant avoidance of responsibility. When you encounter someone who doesn't take accountability, you're dealing with a person who refuses to face the consequences of their actions and prefers to shift the blame, excuse poor behavior, or deny involvement altogether. This behavior is not just frustrating, it's toxic because it stalls growth and fosters resentment. Imagine working alongside someone who never admits when they mess up, who never says, "I was wrong," or "I'm sorry." Instead, they find ways to point fingers, make excuses, or disappear when problems arise. That attitude creates an environment where nothing gets solved and everything remains stuck. When accountability is absent, it sends a message that standards don't matter, that integrity is negotiable, and that you are left to clean up the mess. The weight of responsibility falls unfairly on others, and that's not something anyone should tolerate. Accountability is the bedrock of trust. It's the acknowledgement that we all make mistakes, but are willing to learn from them, grow, and do better. When someone refuses to hold themselves accountable, it tells you that they lack the maturity and integrity necessary to be a reliable partner, teammate, or friend. This lack of responsibility ultimately affects everyone around them because it disrupts the balance of give and take that healthy relationships require. It breeds frustration and distrust, and, if left unchecked, will poison your environment and your peace of mind. Recognizing a lack of accountability means paying close attention to how people respond when things go wrong. Do they own their role, or do they always have a ready excuse? Do they take proactive steps to fix problems, or do they dodge and deflect? These are the signs that you cannot ignore. It's important to remember that accountability is a choice. No one can force it on someone else. But you can hold people to high standards by setting clear expectations from the beginning. Make it known that honesty, responsibility, and ownership are not optional. They are essential. When you do this, you give others the opportunity to step up, but you also protect yourself from being dragged down by those who refuse to grow. If you find yourself repeatedly dealing with someone who avoids responsibility, it's time to reevaluate how much energy you invest in that relationship. You don't have to accept excuses or tolerate being the one who always has to pick up the slack. Your time and effort are too valuable to waste on people who don't contribute equally to the partnership. Standing firm on accountability is a way of safeguarding your own integrity and mental health. When you demand accountability, you are creating an environment where respect and trust can flourish. You are teaching others how to treat you by refusing to accept behavior that excuses failure or shirks responsibility. Accountability is not about being harsh or unforgiving. It's about being clear and firm about the standards that keep relationships healthy and productive. When people take ownership of their actions, it builds credibility, fosters collaboration, and strengthens bonds. Without it, chaos and resentment grow. Remember, your boundaries around accountability protect your peace of mind and your progress. You owe it to yourself to refuse to tolerate anything less than people who own their actions, learn from their mistakes, and commit to doing better. Holding others accountable, and holding yourself accountable, is a mark of strength, maturity, and respect. It sets the tone for the kind of life you want to lead and the relationships you want to build. Refuse to settle for less. Aggression and intimidation are behaviors that should never be allowed to exist in your life under any circumstances. They are loud, destructive forces that threaten your sense of safety, your confidence, and your peace of mind. Aggression isn't always physical. Sometimes it's the cold, cutting words, the hostile tone, or the glaring eyes that pierce through you like daggers. Intimidation might not always come with threats shouted across a room. It can be the subtle, insidious tactics designed to make you feel small, powerless, or scared. These behaviors are not signs of strength. They are signs of weakness and control. When someone uses aggression or intimidation, they are trying to dominate you, to control your actions and thoughts through fear. This is completely unacceptable and cannot be tolerated. Your safety and emotional well-being are not bargaining chips or tools for someone else's game. No one has the right to make you feel threatened or unsafe in your own life. It's essential to recognize the signs early. Aggression might manifest as yelling, harsh criticism meant to demean, or physical acts intended to scare or hurt. Intimidation can show up as threatening gestures, invading your personal space, or even passive-aggressive behavior aimed at undermining your confidence. If you find yourself shrinking in the presence of someone's anger or coercive behavior, that's a clear signal that boundaries are being violated. The first and most important response to aggression or intimidation is to prioritize your safety. That means physically removing yourself from the situation if you can, and seeking help if necessary. Your well-being is paramount, and no one's anger or threats justify putting yourself in harm's way. In moments like these, calmness and clarity are your best allies. Don't engage with the aggression or try to reason with someone who is intent on controlling you through fear. That only escalates the situation. Instead, assert your boundary clearly and without hesitation. I will not tolerate being threatened or intimidated. If you can, distance yourself from that environment completely. Surround yourself with people who respect and uplift you, not those who use fear as a weapon. Remember, aggression and intimidation are tactics used by those who feel powerless. By refusing to tolerate these behaviors, you are standing strong in your own power. You're sending a message that you will not be controlled by fear and that you demand respect that is earned through dignity, not coerced through threats. Living in fear is not living at all. You deserve to feel safe, valued, and confident in every space you occupy. Setting this boundary protects your mental health and your physical safety. It preserves your peace and empowers you to live authentically and boldly. Don't ever let anyone convince you that aggression or intimidation is a form of love, discipline, or necessary control. It's none of those things. It's abuse. And abuse is never acceptable. Stand firm, walk away, and never look back. Your strength lies in your refusal to be silenced or diminished by fear. Respect yourself enough to say no to what drains you. This isn't just a suggestion, it's a command you owe yourself. Too often, we get trapped in patterns where we say yes out of obligation, fear, or misplaced loyalty. We tolerate behaviors that chip away at our confidence, rob us of our joy, and cloud our peace because we're afraid of confrontation, rejection, or loneliness. But here's the truth that many hesitate to say out loud. Your peace is your power. The moment you start allowing toxic behaviors to exist in your life, you surrender your power little by little. You give away your right to be treated with respect, honesty, and kindness. You permit others to dictate how you feel, how you think, and ultimately, how you live. That is not your destiny. You were never meant to live under the shadow of disrespect, manipulation, dishonesty, or aggression. You were meant to rise, to stand tall, and to demand the respect you deserve, not just occasionally, but every single day. Saying no to what drains you is an act of courage. It's about refusing to settle for less than you deserve and protecting your mental and emotional well-being like the precious treasure it is. It means drawing clear lines and standing behind them unwaveringly. When someone disrespects you, lies to you, manipulates you, violates your boundaries, or brings negativity into your life, your job is not to tolerate or justify their behavior. Your job is to say no, to walk away, or to confront with strength and clarity. This isn't about anger or retaliation. It's about self-respect and self-preservation. When you do this, you teach others exactly how to treat you. You send a crystal clear message that you will not be a doormat. You show that your time, energy, and emotional capacity are not unlimited, and you expect to be valued and honored. Boundaries are not walls designed to keep people out. They are fences built to protect the garden of your mind and soul. Without them, weeds of disrespect and toxicity take root and choke out your growth. With boundaries firmly in place, you create an environment where respect and positivity can thrive. You create space for healthy relationships that fuel your growth rather than drain your spirit. Standing firm to protect your peace doesn't mean you're hard or unkind. It means you are strong, wise, and deeply committed to your own worth. This strength radiates, inspiring those around you to honor you and raise their own standards. It changes the dynamic of every relationship, every interaction, and every part of your life. Understand this. You cannot control how others behave, but you can control how you respond. You choose what you accept and what you refuse. This is your power. The people you allow into your life, the behaviors you tolerate, the energy you surround yourself with, all of it shapes your reality. Choose wisely. Protect yourself fiercely. And remember, the moment you start saying no to what drains you is the moment you begin saying yes to yourself. Yes to your dreams. Yes to your happiness. Yes to your freedom. You owe it to yourself to live in a space where you are respected, valued, and loved for exactly who you are. Never forget, respecting yourself enough to set limits is one of the bravest, most powerful things you can do. So stand firm, protect your peace, demand the respect you deserve unapologetically and without hesitation. You are worth it, you are strong enough, and you will never regret choosing yourself.